Last night, the Eagles earned their first preseason victory in the Chip Kelly era. Now, wins and losses don't really matter much when it comes to preseason football, but what did matter for Philadelphia last night was the defense showing up, unlike last week's debacle versus the New England Patriots where they got ran right over, around, and through. This time, Carolina comes into the link with Cam Newton in tow. Newton stayed on the field for the entire first half, so it was a real test for the Eagles' defense. We all know how Carolina can run the ball with their running backs. Well, the Eagles clamped down, declawed those mighty Panthers, and held them to 6 first half points, 2 field goals, 3 field goals for the entire game. The Eagles walk away with a 14-9 preseason victory. Put that aside and look at the Eagles' offense. The Eagles' offense is moving like a machine. The guys carrying the chains, the first down chains, and the referees are going to have to pick up the pace to keep up with the Eagles' offense. Both Nick Foles and Mike Vick took them down the field methodically. Only 2 turnovers, one by a running back, kept the Eagles from scoring 28 first half points. They ended up with 14. As far as the quarterback competition, the eye test tells you that not only in practice but in these 2 preseason games that Michael Vick is pulling ahead. Of course, Foles has been impressive, though he did turn the ball over. He threw an interception after a wonderful first drive where he took the Eagles right down the field. The Eagles get the ball back for Foles, who did start the game, but he only had to drive 40 yards, and the key to that 40-yard drive was a long run by Lesean McCoy, who faked the Panthers out of their claws, right out of their shoes, left Panther clothing all over the field, cut across, and left the ball at the 8-yard line, where Foles actually made a nice little run showing he could move a little bit into the end zone to put the Eagles up 7-0. Could have been 14-0. So enter Mike Vick into the game. Mike drives the Eagles right down the field, but then an Eagles running back fumbles the ball. The Eagles defense put the clamps on again, get the ball back for Vick, which is what you want to see. Vick and Deshaun Jackson hook up a couple times on 10, 12, 15-yard passes. Vick runs the ball, mixes it up a little bit. He doesn't quite slide, but he rolls and protects himself from getting hit along the way, and the drive ends with a 1-yard Lesean McCoy touchdown run. So Michael Vick looks a little sharper. He was 8 for 8 before throwing a Hail Mary meaningless interception. You really can't count that against him at the end of the first half. So most onlookers, including NFL Hall of Fame reporter Ray Didinger, think that Michael Vick has won the job, although Chip Kelly told the press, you can put your pens down if you think I'm going to name a starting quarterback in this room tonight. He wants to look at the film, and it's possible they split reps again in that 3rd dress rehearsal, really the final test of the preseason for starters, because we all know the 4th preseason game, teams tend to sit their players, and the other team's certainly not going to put their defense out on the field. So if not this week, next week we should know who the starting quarterback for the Eagles was. Another interesting aspect about the Eagles' offense, of course, was the play calling from the sideline. You saw 3 or 4 guys waving their hands, making hand signals, and a couple other guys with signs. And what sideline reporter Howard Eskin indicated was you couldn't tell who had the proper play, or who was really telling the quarterback the right play. So if you're the other defense trying to figure out what the Eagles are going to do in advance, you don't know which guy to look at. It's confusing to them. So it's a really good system, and it avoids that whole conversation that the quarterback and the player have to have through the headset, the head coach. So they're going to be quick. The question is, can the refs and the guys holding the chains, the first down chains, keep up with the birds? But once again, the Eagles' defense was the big story tonight because it showed some promise, holding those vaunted Carolina Panthers to 3 field goals. In other NFL news, the Patriots take the field against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week. They had those inter-squad practices just like the Patriots did with the Eagles last week, and everybody knows about the scare Tom Brady had going down with a perceived knee injury. The MRI was negative. This happened a couple days ago. He will play tonight, but with a knee brace. It kind of makes people think about Tim Tebow, how close this guy was to playing in the Canadian Football League or the Arena Football League, and now Tom Brady's knee is weaker. Ryan Mallett isn't really playing that great. And you could conceivably see Tim Tebow one day this year, or maybe in a couple games, starting for the New England Patriots. Who would have thought about that? But good news for New England fans. Tom Brady's knee seems to be fine. He's a tough guy. He'll play hurt if he has to. And he's not really mobile, so you don't have to worry about that. So there you have it. Tom Brady will play with a knee brace. The Eagles defense showed promise against the Panthers. And the quarterback battle for Philadelphia is still ongoing.